I noticed my girlfriend would always turn off her location when she said she was at her mom's. One day I drove to her mom's house. She wasn't there. But her car was at a hotel nearby. I booked the room next door, waited until morning, and slipped a note under the door that said, "Hope you two slept well, you're on camera." I walked away before she even opened the door. This happened in Evansville, Indiana. I've lived here most of my life. I work HVAC, 6 days a week, decent pay, long hours, nothing fancy. I've never been the kind of guy to talk much about feelings or drama. But something about this, it changed me. I was with Jenna for just over 2 years. We met at a cookout a buddy of mine was throwing. She was 30, had light brown hair, soft voice, and these little lines around her eyes when she smiled. She said she worked at a dental office, still living with her mom to save up after a bad breakup. She seemed real. That's what got me. I'd had girlfriends before, but this felt different. She liked old movies, didn't care if I was sweaty from work, and made it easy to come home at the end of the day. I thought I got lucky. I thought maybe this was it for me. 6 months after dating, she moved in with me. It made sense, we spent all our time together anyway. She kept saying how good it felt to finally have someone who treated her right. I believed her. I was all in. But after about a year and a half, something started to change. She started going to her mom's more often. Said her mom needed help with the house, with errands, stuff like that. First it was once a week. Then twice. Then it started feeling like every time I turned around, she was going to mom's. I didn't think much of it at first. Jenna was close with her mom. But then one night, we were ordering takeout, and I noticed I couldn't see her location anymore. We used to have it on for each other. It wasn't a big deal, just for safety, mostly. But now it was off. I asked her about it. She laughed and said her phone had done some kind of update, and maybe the setting changed. I let it go. A week later, it was off again. She said it must have turned off by itself. Again. That's when I started paying attention. She was dressing up a little more when she left. Tight jeans. Makeup. She used to wear scrubs and pull her hair back in a ponytail. Now she was curling it. She'd spray perfume just to go help her mom. And sometimes, when she got back, she'd head straight to the shower before saying much to me. I didn't want to believe it. I told myself I was just tired, overthinking. But that feeling in my gut, something was wrong. Last Friday, I got off work around 5:30. Jenna had left a couple hours earlier, said her mom wasn't feeling well and needed her to spend the night. She kissed me on the cheek, tossed her overnight bag in the trunk, and drove off. I waited an hour. Then I got in my truck and drove to her mom's place. It was dark. No lights on. No car in the driveway. I parked half a block away, walked up to the porch, knocked. Nothing. I texted Jenna, "How's your mom?" No answer. I called her mom's cell. No answer. Then I just stood there for a while, hands in my pockets, staring at the closed door. I got in my truck and drove around the area. Not fast. Just watching. Then I saw it, Jenna's car. Parked outside the Knights Inn, about 5 minutes away. I pulled into the gas station next to it and sat in the cab. It was her car, no doubt. Same dent in the rear bumper. Same parking sticker on the back window from the dental office. That was the moment everything in me went cold. Like someone turned off the heat in my body. I stared at that hotel sign. A cheap, run-down place. One of those single-story buildings with doors facing the parking lot. I watched the front office. Saw a couple walk out laughing. A trucker come in for a smoke. I didn't know what to do. I went inside the office. Told the guy behind the counter I needed a room. Asked for one near the middle of the building. I paid cash. Room 107. The clerk didn't ask questions. I parked my truck around the side and went into the room. It was quiet. Smelled like cigarettes. The bed was stiff. I sat down, took off my boots, and leaned my ear against the wall. Voices. A woman. A man. Muffled, but I could hear laughing. Then silence. Then the bed on their side hit the wall. I sat there all night. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I didn't cry. At 6:15 a.m., I wrote a note on the hotel's notepad. Just one line, "Hope you two slept well, you're on camera." I folded it, walked outside, and slid it under the door to her room. I didn't knock. I didn't wait. Then I got in my truck and drove home. By the time I got there, I had 3 missed calls. 2 from Jenna. 1 from her friend. No voicemails. Just missed calls. I turned off my phone and tossed it on the table. I knew things weren't over. Not yet. I stayed quiet. Didn't go to work Monday. Called in and said I had the flu. Slept on the couch, barely ate. Just stared at the ceiling, running everything back in my head. By Tuesday morning, I finally turned my phone back on. 23 texts from Jenna. A couple voicemails from her, 1 from her friend Leah, 1 from an unknown number. Jenna's messages started out casual, then turned panicked. The last one said, "Please talk to me. Please. It's not what you think. It's always not what you think." I didn't answer. I just waited. Around 11 a.m., someone banged on my door. I didn't have to look, I knew it was her. I opened it. Jenna stood there, hair a mess, face red, eyes glassy. She had her overnight bag slung over one shoulder. "You're not answering me," she said. "Nope." She stepped in without asking, dropped the bag by the couch. I didn't move. She looked around, like she was expecting something to jump out at her. "I need to explain." I sat down and said nothing. She stood there for a long minute, then finally spoke. "Okay. Yes. I was at the hotel. But it wasn't what you think. It's not some guy I'm dating." I raised an eyebrow. "So who was it?" Silence. Then, "His name's Kyle. He's my ex." That hit me hard. I leaned forward, staring at the floor. "We've been talking," she went on. "Just talking. I didn't mean for it to go that far." I laughed, but it sounded bitter. "So, what, you were just talking in bed all night?" She flinched. "No. I mean yes. I messed up, Craig. I know I did. I didn't think, I don't know why I went back there. He was just familiar. But I didn't want this to happen." "You could have just left me," I said. "Instead of lying to my face every week. I didn't want to hurt you." "Well," I said, "you did." Then she said the worst thing she could have said, "I didn't think you'd find out." I stood up. That pushed me over the edge. "So if I hadn't caught you, you'd still be sneaking around? Still playing house with me and shacking up at the Night's Inn?" She looked down. Said nothing. I walked to the door, opened it. "You need to go." She stood there for a second, stunned. Then she picked up her bag and walked out. But it didn't end there. Later that night, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. "You think you're clever, leaving that note? You're messing with the wrong guy." It was from Kyle. Apparently, he'd seen the note. Jenna must have told him about me. Or maybe she didn't. Maybe he was just pissed I ruined his little weekend escape. I ignored it. Then another text came the next day. Better watch your back. Not everyone's as nice as you. I reported the number, blocked it. But it didn't stop. Somebody keyed my truck 2 days later. Deep scratches all along the driver's side. I had no proof it was him. No cameras. No witnesses. Just timing. Then someone slashed my tires while I was parked at work. I told the cops. Filed a report. They didn't do much. Just took pictures and said they'd keep an eye out. That's when I realized this wasn't just betrayal. It was war. I wasn't going to sit back and let some smug piece of trash threaten me. No. I was going to take everything from both of them. I knew Kyle was behind the threats and the damage to my truck. What I didn't know was how far he'd go. But I was about to find out. A week after the tire slashing, I got a letter in the mail from the county courthouse. Inside was a notice. Someone had filed a harassment complaint. Guess who signed it? Kyle. Said I was stalking Jenna, threatening him, invading privacy. Claimed the hotel stunt was illegal surveillance. There was no actual footage, obviously, but he was twisting the story. Making it sound like I was some obsessed psycho following them around. I showed up to the hearing with everything. The note I wrote. A copy of Jenna's texts. I even had a copy of her call logs she forgot to delete from our shared iPad. It showed how often she'd been calling Kyle, mostly late at night, usually right before or after her visits to her mom. Kyle came in wearing a tie he didn't know how to tie. Told the judge I was unstable. Said he feared for Jenna's safety. Jenna didn't even show up. When the judge asked if I ever threatened him or showed up at his home or work, Kyle froze. Because the truth was, I hadn't. The complaint got tossed. But something in me shifted that day. I realized Kyle wasn't just some side piece. He was dangerous. And petty. And he wanted to humiliate me. That's when I started digging. Took me a couple weeks, but I found out Kyle had a suspended license. DUI from 2 years ago. Supposed to be taking court-mandated classes, but guess who hadn't been showing up? Found out he was still technically on probation. All it would take was one report to the right place. So I called the probation office. Told them everything. Said I saw him driving a black Dodge Charger, plate ending in 2F9, around town multiple times. I had seen it. I made sure to remember the plate when I saw it outside the hotel. They didn't tell me much. Just thanked me. 2 days later, I heard from a friend who works part-time dispatch at the sheriff's department. Said Kyle got picked up at a gas station. Driving with a suspended license. Cuffed right there at the pump. I didn't laugh. I didn't smile. I just nodded. He spent 3 nights in county before they cut him loose on a technicality. But the damage was done. He'd miss more work. Court dates. Fines piling up. Then Jenna showed up at my place again. This time she looked pissed. You reported Kyle, she said the second I opened the door. I didn't say anything. You're sick, Craig. You need help. That's when I said something I'd been holding in for a while. You chose a loser over a man who actually gave a damn about you. Don't talk to me about help. She opened her mouth like she wanted to scream. But nothing came out. Just breathing, fast and shallow. Then she turned and walked off. I thought it might be over. It wasn't. 1 week later, my company truck got broken into. My tools were stolen. Every last one of them. Thousands of dollars worth. Cops said there'd been a string of similar thefts, probably someone pawning them for cash. I didn't even have to guess. But this time, I had something better. I had a plan. I stopped sleeping through the night. I kept the porch light on, even during the day. Started locking my truck even when I was just inside for 5 minutes. My gut said Kyle wasn't done. But I wasn't either. See, I remembered something. Jenna still had access to one of my old bank accounts. I never closed it. It only had a few $100, but I checked it and saw something weird: 3 cash withdrawals from an ATM near the hotel. Small amounts. But one happened the same night she was supposedly at her mom's. That was all I needed. I went back to the bank, pulled the security footage. I had to pay for a formal request, but it was worth it. Clear as day, Jenna, using my card, taking out my money. So I filed a police report for theft and fraud. Attached everything: statements, time stamps, and the footage. And I named her in it. Full name, address, everything. But I didn't stop there. Remember Leah? Jenna's friend? The one who left me a voicemail. She worked at the dental office too. So I called her. Played it cool. You know, I said, I'm filing charges. You still hanging out with her? She paused. Jenna doesn't work with me anymore, she said finally. What happened? She got fired. Someone sent the office manager those camera screenshots from the ATM. And other stuff. What other stuff? Leah sighed. Texts. From Kyle. Some weren't safe for work. That was news to me. Turns out Kyle had been sending her stuff, pictures, videos, dirty messages, while she was clocked in. All on her work phone. One of her coworkers saw it by accident, told management. Combined with the fraud report, they canned her fast. I didn't send those texts in. I had no idea. But I wasn't complaining. That's when Jenna snapped. One morning, I got home from a job to find spray paint across my garage door. Big red letters: liar. I laughed. Not because it was funny. But because it was desperate. She'd lost control. Then I got a letter in the mail. Jenna was filing a civil claim: emotional distress, defamation, the works. Said I ruined her reputation, made her lose her job, her relationship, everything. My lawyer looked it over and just shook his head. She has no case, he said. And if she pushes it, we countersue. I didn't want to drag it through court. But I also wasn't going to back down. So I filed a counterclaim. Fraud, harassment, and damages for the truck break-in, even though I couldn't prove Kyle did it. Just let the court sort it out. We ended up in mediation. She showed up looking hollow. Hair pulled back, no makeup. She sat across from me, wouldn't meet my eyes. Her lawyer tried to make it sound like she just made poor choices under stress. I let mine do the talking. He laid out everything: her theft, the texts, the lies, the hotel, the threats from Kyle. They folded fast. She dropped her claim. Agreed to pay restitution, $1,500 over 6 months. Didn't even argue. Her voice barely came out above a whisper. I walked out of that room feeling nothing. Not relief. Not anger. Just done. Kyle, on the other hand, got picked up again. This time for failing to appear in court on a different charge. He had a warrant. Last I heard, he's doing 6 months for violating probation. No job. No car. Nothing left. And Jenna? Word around town is she moved in with a cousin upstate. Got a job at a call center. Keeps her head down. Her mom still lives here, and once in a while I see her at the store. She avoids me like I'm a ghost. As for me, I got my locks changed. Got a new work truck. Deleted every photo, every message, every trace of her. But I kept the note I slid under that hotel door. Framed it. Hung it in my garage. Not as a trophy. Not because I'm proud. Just as a reminder of how easy it is to fall for a lie. And how much it costs to clean it up.